Of course, now I get a phone call. I go live 1 moment prior. Linus speaking. Hey, it's our internet service provider. I'm actually streaming right now. What can I do for you? Yeah, now's not great. I will give you a shout back. That is what I will do. All right, thanks, man. The Master Case 5 by Cooler Master gives you the freedom to truly make your mid-tower PC case your own with a variety of modular parts and accessories. Check out the link in the video description to learn more. Look at that, an internet service provider that actually calls you to discuss, some idea that you had. Pretty cool stuff, right? They're good guys, but that is not the subject of today's stream. No, my friends, today's stream is all about the 7 gamers, 1 CPU machine, or more accurately, the death of the 7 gamers, 1 CPU machine, because that is what we will be doing today. We will be disassembling it. We will be tearing it limb from limb, live for you or on the video on demand for you. Holy crap, I forgot how heavy this thing was. So I actually never really showed anything to do with the process of building it. If I recall correctly, I ended up just kind of building it during a WAN show when Luke was hosting by himself. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take it apart. So yeah, without further ado, I've got all my tools with me. So I've got 1 iFixit kit, 2 iFixit kits. Oh, right, it's an aluminum case. Well, I've got a magnetic parts tray for the magnetic parts that are inside it. Got my laptop so I can monitor the Twitch chat here, and I have a lot of water. When I did the Ultra Wide Festival winners live build thing that I did, I made the mistake of streaming for almost 2 hours, or however long it was, with no freaking water. Huge, huge problem. You guys would be amazed how much moisture you can expel just by talking. So I've never actually done a review of this case. This is the case. Oh, I've got a lot of people asking me. Guys, the reason I'm taking it apart is because I take apart pretty much all of the computers that we build. There's almost nothing that we actually get to keep forever. I mean, it's and even if we were able to hold on to the hardware, I mean, this is just about the world's least practical computer in every possible way. Like, when you're flying that close to the sun, it is pretty easy to get burned. So it's, compatibility with USB devices when it posts isn't great. Just general behavior is not great. It kicks off a ton of heat. It consumes a metric whack ton of power. There's a lot of reasons I can think of to take apart this computer. So that, my friends, would be why. But I do have big plans for a lot of the hardware that is still in here. I'm just going to pull up my USB drive. So these USB drives here are actually what runs Unraid. The SSD array in the bottom, which I can probably get you guys a better angle at here. So this SSD array here in the bottom was only running the 7 VMs. So I had 8 terabytes. So only about 500 gigs per VM because I was running with a redundant storage setup. This is cool. So I've actually got another camera angle for you guys today compared to the last one of these streams I did. I'm kind of trying this out as a new format. Wow, that is not focusing at all. Come on, Mr. Webcam, you can do it. There you go. So I can really get you guys a better look at what I'm doing in certain cases. I don't know if we ever actually showed super close up how to remove those cards. So that's one thing that I'm gonna try and show you guys with this camera angle if I can. But yeah, in general, this is a new format I'm trying out where I just kind of do things live, because the reality of it is I'm working on this stuff anyway. So y'all might as well come along for the ride if you're into that sort of thing. Okay. I mean, people watch each other play video games on Twitch. They might as well watch each other build computers. It's not that different, is it? Okay, so the way the Case Labs S8 comes apart, actually, I kind of wish I had done a review or something of the case before I went ahead and did 7 Gamers, because it's pretty nice. I quite like it. Like, there's some sort of it doesn't have the same you know, beauty, I guess, as something like a Lee, but it definitely has like this industrial beauty to it that I personally can quite appreciate. And I have realized that I made a mistake, and I am planning to disassemble a water-cooled computer, and I did not bring a bucket. So I will do that, and I will be right back. I am pretty sure that my audio device is gonna work for as far as I need to go. So excuse me. I will try and keep you guys company, but no guarantees on that one. I just need to find a bucket. I am talking to the stream, asshole, not to myself. People around here, they're looking at me like I'm crazy. That Brandon guy. Who are you talking to? Maybe to my imaginary friend. Are you going to judge me? I could hear him judging. I could hear him judging right in his voice. Either that, or I'm just reading too much into it and lashing out. I mean, maybe this stream is a good time to discuss my personality flaws. Or maybe I have the bucket I need, and I am ready to continue working on the computer. Yes, that is indeed what's going on. I'm back. So, apparently, oh, everyone in Twitch chat is judging me now too. They're saying I'm a terrible person for hating on Brandon. I don't hate on Brandon. I love Brandon. That's why I control Brandon like that. Me and Brandon, we're like besties. Okay. Oh, wow. Man, this thing's heavy. So we're gonna start by draining the water. And this is something that there's no real one way to do. I mean, sure, professional builders will say stuff like, well, you should really have like a drain point in your loop or something, but the way that I actually usually do it, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna prop up, wow, I don't have a really easy access to the, to any of the tubing here. This one right here is kind of a funny story. Actually, why don't I talk about that before we go any further? So here we go, let's switch angles here. So the original spec for the system called for the one pump here with the reservoir attached to it. And I had originally thought that EK was going to provide me with, there it is. sorry. So EK was going to provide me with a block for the 7 cards that was parallel. So that is to say that the restrictiveness of it would be very low, but it's actually serial. So it goes through one block, then the next, then the next, then the next, then the next, then the next. So I actually ended up having to add another pump at the last minute, an adventure that ended up causing Taryn and I to spill a bunch of water onto the system. It was incredibly scary. So I think I'm going to use that point as my access point here. So like I said, most professional, water-cooled machine builders will tell you, oh, well, you should have like a drain port and you should do all this stuff. And you should. That is indeed the correct way to do it. But what I usually do is not bother with that. And then I'll just rip off a piece of tubing somewhere that I'm, at least 90% certain it will not leak onto anything else. So first, let's get some of our cable management ties out of here. And then that looks like a pretty good candidate right there. So I'm going to do my best to get you guys a reasonable angle at what I'm doing here. Okay, there we go. Oh, wow, this is not going to be an easy thing though. So basically, I'm going to take my bucket. I'm going to put it right here, and then I'm going to crack open one of these fittings and start draining it. And you're going to see a lot of things that are not necessarily the industry accepted best practices on this stream, but frankly, a lot of the stuff that I do isn't industry best practices, and I like to think that's one of the things we like about me. Shut up, Brandon. Yeah, the audio is great on the interface. Yeah, it sounds really good. I just had to play around with the delays. I still want to know why the audio wasn't working to begin with, too. Yeah, funny story, guys. I probably have about 40 like test recording clips here of trying to get this stream working. Yeah, so we finally got it working. Anyway, that is the quick and dirty, and the emphasis is on dirty, way to get most of the water out of a water cooling loop so you can begin to disassemble it. Now, I don't think that I actually got anything even resembling all of it. So let me just find out where my, I'm trying to remember which way things were going around. Let's go the other way, see if I can get some more out of those radiators, because that is not enough water. Oh man, I don't know if I have the lung capacity for 2 360 rads and 7 GPU blocks. Okay, I mean, that's the thing about doing something like this on stream, right? Is if I pass out, you guys will call someone, right? Okay. Let's just call that good enough. Now, when I say quick and dirty, I really do mean dirty. I'm not planning to reuse really any of these components in any sort of reasonable time frame, so they will have plenty of time for any microbes that I just blew into them to die. Yeah. Ugh. So now we can actually start disconnecting many of the other components. We're going to get a little bit of water on stuff, but like, I don't know, people freak out about electronics and water and, oh my goodness. But the reality of it is the machine's not even booted up right now. It's not powered on. There's literally no power to anything anywhere. So the actual chances of damaging it with water are very, very slim. I mean, I have washed motherboards, like literally soap and water washed motherboards. Long story, what it had on it that needed to be washed off, but I have done that and then allowed it to dry for like 2 weeks in a hot place with airflow and with any applicable heat sinks or nooks and crannies exposed so that you can really dry everything out. And I have yet to have something that was off that got just water. Now, to be clear, I'm talking fresh water here. I'm not talking salt water. I'm not talking contaminated water. But anything that's just gotten like fresh, clean water on it, I've yet to have anything that had any lasting effects. All right, so pump number 1 is out. And maybe we'll pull out pump number 2. Now this one was not quite as simple to get at. I'm gonna switch to my overhead view here to try and show you guys what I'm doing now. All right, boop, there we go. So pump number 2, I gotta remove these front panel pieces. I do like how much of this case is actually toolless for such a sort of industrial feeling design. Just take out these, and it's really, really modular as well, which is really cool. They're really, really good guys over there at Case Labs. We've literally never worked with them before this, but they were like way on board to help us out with this project. They even custom painted the inside of the chassis for us and stuff like that, which was really, really cool of them. I mean, obviously, they get something out of it. They get the exposure in the video, but still, not everyone wants to work with you, so it's nice when people do. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I think I might have forgotten how this goes together. And there may not be an easy, how did this work? What the crap? Does this one pop off the other thing? What the? Okay, I have forgotten how this goes together, so I am going to go somewhere else for now. Let's get the radiators out, because those things are really in my way. I think I have a screwdriver for that in here. Hex, hex, hex. Hex, hex. No, this doesn't have hexes? That's funny, I thought it did. That's okay, this one does. Okay. Wow, I am really warm. I am gonna have to start stripping pretty quick here. I know Twitch frowns on it, but they might just have to deal because I'm legitimately way too warm right now. I mean, here's something. Are you allowed to take clothes off seductively if you actually don't show any skin? Like, where is the limit? Okay. Oh, 3,000 people watching me take apart a computer. Imagine if I was actually like building one. Well, no, I don't have to imagine that. We actually did do a stream about that before, but okay. All right, this is probably the most tedious thing about my job, is disassembling the computers that I spent all this time building. Like, there's nothing rewarding feeling about it. It's nice that you guys are here to keep me company, because I usually just do this by myself. But yeah, pretty much every machine that we've ever built, like the number of people who asked me, why I thought my 3-year-old needed a, $3,000 gaming machine. Of course not. I'm just making videos. I'm just making videos on the internet. So yeah, pretty much every machine that you've ever seen has been disassembled shortly after we built it, with a couple of exceptions. So personal rigs, they're called personal rig update because that's my personal rig. The oil machine has not yet been disassembled, and I never intended to disassemble it, but I'm going to have to now because it's damaged, leaks, which is a super bummer. Okay, so this rad's out. We're gonna go ahead and retrieve the old bucket here and pop off a couple of fittings. Sorry, I'm having a hard time keeping your guys' angle very good. You know what? Okay, hopefully I don't break all of Brendan's hard work. Okay. Oh my goodness, this thing is so heavy. Okay, let's see if that's a little better. Yeah, now you guys can actually see what I'm doing, because I might be over here on the edge of the table sometimes, especially if I have this bucket here. Oh, I've got people asking where the oil machine is leaking. It's actually leaking in exactly the same spot as last time, down the back seam. And I tried to repair it. I did like a vlog video where I actually showed the, as far as I can tell, correct repair process, but it didn't hold. And unfortunately, due to a patent troll, everybody's favorite people, Puget is not allowed to manufacture those cases anymore, so I can't even get a new case to transplant it into. So the entire thing is just dead now, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, this video is going to be on YouTube as well, for whoever that is that asked it. Yeah, the Berkeley is talking about the iFixit kit. Yeah, man. You know what's funny? You mentioned using our sponsor link for it. I don't think they've actually sponsored anything with us in a while. It's so funny. Like, I have people, chasing me about sponsored this and sponsored that all the time. Like I did. I finally got around to fixing the home button on my iPhone 4, which has been dead for like, I don't know. It's been sort of going slowly for well over a year anyway. And my picture, like the Instagram picture that I posted when I was working on it, had an iFixit kit in it. And people are like, "Whoa, dat product placement, dough." And it's like, well, no, I'm doing a phone repair. What else am I supposed to use? If I have an iFixit kit, I'm going to use it. Like, ugh. Okay, let's get this other rad out of here. It'll be nice to salvage these LTT edition fans back. I've actually got another really cool project planned for them very, very soon, like a full Linus Tech Tips edition build. And I know this one ended up kind of being that with the black and orange color scheme, but the other one's going to be a much more realistic machine, one that I would actually expect people to be able to buy. So it's going to be off-the-shelf black and orange components, with one exception. I am planning to paint a reference NVIDIA cooler. So that one should be pretty cool. I would consider just using something from someone like, I believe, both Gigabyte and Zotac have black and orange themed cards. But I mean, I wanted to spice up the build a little bit. So I've got, some of it's ordered already, some of it I still need to order, but I've got some automotive grade paint, like the same kind of stuff that we used in that LG monitor painting guide. And I'm going to be showing you guys how to paint, disassemble, paint, and then reassemble your NVIDIA reference cooler. Should be good. Should be good. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, so this radiator I'm actually not as worried about leakage with, just because the barbs are on the top side, but we still might get a couple drips, so I'm going to try and get my water bucket pretty close to it. You'll notice that what I'm doing is I am removing fittings, or I'm removing the fittings, and I am taking the tubing off of components that are very unlikely to be damaged by water, like a radiator. So here, I'll get you guys my my other camera angle here. Sorry, I apologize to people who get motion sick for that. So what I'll do is I'll leave this tube attached to the video card, because if I were to take this fitting off, then what would happen potentially is any little drips here would go right onto the motherboard. Whereas if I leave the tube here, then at least I can kind of tie it up somewhere, like up on this piece of metal or something, so I can keep it from dripping. And then if anything drips off of this radiator, well, no big deal, because it's just going to fall down into my bucket. And I apologize for the frame rate on that camera too. I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe I can fix it. Sorry, give me just 1 second here, guys. I'm just going to switch to it and see if maybe it's set to like 15 FPS or something like that. I don't know what the deal is. No. Okay, motion JPEG, 30 FPS. I don't know. Yeah, it's running super trash though. I don't know what the problem is. Normally those webcams are really good. We use them all the time. But I'm Linus. I can break a live stream. I can break tall live streams with a single bound, etc. I don't know what it is. I'm like snake bitten. Like Luke doesn't even get it, because he streams all the time, like all the time from home. And he's just like, yep, I know how to use this software. You're definitely using it right. We have better hardware at the office, also the same hardware, and sometimes we end up like going through the whole everything, and it just doesn't work. Sorry, I'm not crying. I'm feeling a little under the weather right now, feeling a little sick. So I was commenting to Luke today. I don't remember the last time I actually had a sick day that I was able to take off. Being self-employed, there are good things about it for sure. Like, I love my job. I am not complaining that it is my job to hang out with you guys and take apart this computer right now. But the vacation negotiation between my union rep and my employer did not go particularly well, I'll tell you that much. All right, so pro tip, keep all your fittings together. So if you've got like hold downs for compression fittings, put those on the barbs as you go, because otherwise you're going to be running around after the fact trying to figure out what the heck happened to everything. All right, so now we've got most of the really bulky water cooling stuff removed from the system, so we can start to focus in on removing some of the blocks. I really like getting all the water stuff out before I do really anything else, because it kind of holds everything in. It's the piece that went in last, so I find it's the piece that's easiest to take out first. I got someone suggesting I buy a Linus clone to do the extra work. Got people asking about a union. No, Linus Media Group is definitely not union. I don't even begin to know what the process would be, or anything like that. Okay, got an extra tube here. Don't need that anymore. Actually, you know what? I'll just put those in my water bucket. Believe it or not, it's very difficult to damage a piece of tubing with water, so you can kind of throw all your water water junk into the water bucket, try and contain it. Last thing you want is a bunch of water kind of all over the place when you're trying to take out the rest of the components, because like I said, clean water, generally not really a problem, but bearing in mind that the water in a system like this, and this one hasn't been running very long, so it's less of a concern, but the water in a system like this can pick up contaminants from things like the copper blocks, so you can end up with copper ions in your loop, and it can end up being a problem. And copper ions aren't the only ones, actually. This is a really good water cooler trick that most novices don't know these days, but putting a piece of silver in your loop. I've actually run silver-plated fittings before. It worked just great. Putting a piece of silver in your loop acts as a natural biocide, so you don't have to deal with any funky business growing in your water without really adding anything. I've had a lot of people ask me over the years, what's the best fluid for water cooling? And I say, well, it's right in the name. Water. Water is the best thing for water cooling. A lot of show builds are going to use, fancy fluids that have like these milky, cloudy effects and like do all this crazy stuff. But the reality of it is, you ask even those professional modders who use that stuff in the show builds that they do, they're all going to tell you exactly the same thing. If you are building like a 24/7, like a daily driver machine, you water cool with water if you want to not have to deal with any hassle down the road. I really like this reservoir and pump combo the DK sent over for this build. It's actually, aside from the 7 GPU block, splitter thing, is probably my favorite piece of it, because so many pump reservoir combos use the DDC, and I am not sold on the DDC. I have had almost every DDC that I've ever used for an extended period of time has failed, whereas the D5 in my personal rig was manufactured in like 2008 or something stupid like that. I've never had a D5 fail on me. I mean, I worked at a retailer. I've seen the failure rates. The D5 is definitely the more reliable. And the thing that really bothers me more about the DDC is everyone talks about how quiet it is. It is not quiet. It has a very distinctive whine, especially compared to a D5 at very low RPM. So very few guys make reservoir pump combo units with the D5, but EK did, and I'm very happy that they did. I really like this one. Sorry guys, I apologize for my sniffles. I know no one wants to hear that, but I mean, hey, you're here, so maybe you are into that. I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna put that over there. Actually, I'm gonna put these rads over here as well. We actually just got a new guy today who is supposed to help with stuff like tearing down machines, but I didn't want his first assignment to be taking apart a literally $30,000 computer. Well, okay. Strictly speaking, the tower is only about $21,000, but so I was including the monitors in that overall cost of the system. But I mean, even so, does that really make a difference? I didn't want his first assignment to be a $20,000 computer either, so I figured I'd do this one. And I kind of like the idea of streaming it. I wanted to see if you guys like this. You can give me some feedback in the Twitch chat if you think the format is good. I mean, we're always trying new things, but it gets hard. Like, try and wrap your brain around this for a moment, but I have done something in the neighborhood of 3,500 YouTube videos. Like, it's ridiculous. And the objective is to come up with something different and unique every time. And so, if you're not trying to experiment with new formats all the time, then you're going to totally fail. Oh. What the heck? That's weird. Okay. Looks like we need a new battery on the other camera. I will call in air support. And hopefully we will get that resolved very, very quickly. Actually, my setup is pretty good today. I actually have the stream monitored over there, and I have my Lifeline Brandon, who will come. You know what? I hear someone coming already. I suspect someone else in the office has already clued into this and is on their way up here with a battery. Look, it's Blandon! Oh, I was about to call you. Yeah, can I get a battery for that one? Oh, you need my stuff. Ah, I see. Okay. Don't bump that AVX, by the way. I figured out why it was turning off. I think the battery connection is loose. Yeah, so when you were like moving it around in the socket, it derped.
I wasn't moving it around.
Yeah, you did. You flipped it from the orientation I had to vertical. So that was why it cut out, I think. We're always learning new things about how our equipment is broken. Audio is the worst. Like, we have so many lavalier microphones, all of which are like, you know, $200, $300 or whatever. And yeah, like many of them have died. I think we do go kind of hard on our equipment though. Yeah, hashtag blame Dennis. I like that. Thank you, Twitch chat. I forgot to blame Dennis for this. Okay, tubing in there. Thank you. I appreciate it. You can't tell from
Which one died?
that one.
What? It said half battery.
It's what?
It says half battery.
Half battery?
Yeah,
Oh, well, the stream cut out.
I don't know.
That's weird. Oh, I wonder if it was the capture card that derped. That seems possible.
Okay. Yeah, no, it has half battery left. You
Oh,
have 67 minutes left.
Crying out loud.
There you go.
Okay. Well, thanks, Brandon. Thanks anyway. Oh, well, it's back. So whatever he did, let's say fixed it. Good job, Brandon. I don't know, man. I'm so glad that most of what we do isn't live. Like, I don't envy the full-time Twitch streamers. I mean, I get it. Like, I hear all the sort of, you know, people who have to work at a real job sort of arguments, like, ooh, they get paid to play video games. I get that. But the reality of it is that, like, being on all the time, being live like that, is actually really mentally fatiguing. And I mean, the kind of stuff that those guys have to go through, whether it's, you know, their network connections being attacked, or whether it's like, I mean, all the kind of stupid stuff that happens, you know, Twitch chat being mean, or, you know, wardrobe malfunctions, or, you know, whatever kind of problems they have. Especially technical difficulties, man. When you are live and you have technical difficulties, it is horrible. Whereas everything we do is edited. So if there's a problem, like, we get a chance to fix it. If there's like a hitch in the audio, then, you know, whatever, we get a chance to fix it in post. Whereas when you're live, like, everything you do or say is like right out there. It's like crazy. All right, so I do want to show you guys this. I did promise that this would be part of the video. I'm gonna try and maybe I'll like prop this camera up on something right here or something. I don't really know exactly how I'm going to tackle this, but so the process for removing these graphics cards is redonk. So basically I have to pull the tab of the very bottom one first. Then, while I'm lifting the entire block of cards, I have to pull the tab on the second one. Then, kind of keeping the angle up, I have to pull the tab on the third one, then the fourth one. Actually, you can tell they're all kind of loose right now. I was messing around with it a little bit to get the 7 people actually gaming on it, as well as the overclocking video that's coming done. But yeah, actually, it looks like it's going to be relatively easy right now here. But you kind of have to pull it up here, and then I have to pry it up from the other side. So I got to kind of pry it up this way. Then when that's loose, so you can see all the tabs tightened again. I've got to pull on all the tabs again, and then finally, I can remove the bloody thing. I mean, this was not the kind of build that I would recommend that anyone do. I mean, and there are other issues too. Like, one of the big ones that we had to contend with throughout this is that AMD's support for VMs in this way is very, very poor. They took a bit of a shortcut, or they claim they didn't, but it appears that they took a bit of a shortcut on the Fiji architecture cards that makes it so that when you soft power down a virtual machine, the card doesn't properly reboot, like it doesn't properly reset. Oh, okay, there it goes. Oh boy. Here, I'll show this to you guys. There you go. Oh, so there it is. The card block. The block of cards, the card brick.
It looks so badass.
There you go. It's like, and it weighs so much. Like, it is so friggin' heavy. Anyway, so what happens is when you reboot a VM, oh, it's pouring water all over the place. I guess we should do this first. Like a soft reset, the card doesn't actually properly reboot. And so what happens is it doesn't give up its resources again. So when the rebooted, like the fresh, soft reboot tries to grab the card again, the resources are already in use by the previous boot. I'm really not explaining this very well, actually. Normally I'm better at this. See, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Live streaming is difficult. But the way that NVIDIA handles it is even with a soft reset, the card will release all the resources and it's all good to go. There is a workaround. The workaround, and this is like insanity. So the workaround is that in the safely add and remove hardware system tray thing, what you can do is you can eject your GPU, and then you can go back to Unraid, so you can navigate to it on the network, and then you can stop the VM that way. But, I mean, the issue is that when you're trying to troubleshoot something, the odds of being able to properly eject something and then shut down the machine is very slim. So what would happen, and this was just infuriating, what would happen is anytime I had a problem with any VM that caused it to have to be rebooted, anything but perfectly gracefully, and by the way, that solution didn't always work, what I would have to do was I would have to shut down all the VMs, then I would have to reboot the machine, which takes about 4 minutes because of all the hardware connected to it that Unraid had to detect. Then I would have to start up all the VMs again, and then, like, you know, it doesn't sound that bad, but, you know, let me tell you, when you are working on something under a time crunch, you know, waiting was around a total of about an 8 to 10 minute process every time I had an issue with a VM and I had to reboot one of them. It would have been made a lot simpler if I could reboot one at a time, but I had to do the whole entire system. And sometimes it took a lot longer than that. Like, for example, if I had to, here, I'll give you guys the overhead view. I'm actually doing stuff right now. So if I had to, for example, open up a bunch of benchmarks so that I could run all the benchmarks at the same time, or let's say I was in the middle of running a benchmark, like Firestrike, for example, and one of the VMs, you know, crashes or does something. So now I have to go back, shut down everything, reboot everything, wait around for that. Then I have to fire up all the VMs after I've, like, diagnosed what's going wrong. Then, lucky me, I get to fire up all of those programs again, one by one. And then I get to start them again, and then I get to hope they finish this time. And this system was not particularly stable. So it's funny, I actually, my contact at Unraid, sorry, this USB, this is the kind of stupid stuff that I get to deal with here, guys. Check this out. And it's like, it's not a huge deal. But when you're in a hurry, it's like the end of the world. So you can see this USB 3 connector. I was having a really hard time getting at releasing the GPUs with the USB 3 plugged in. And this USB header on the board, look at this. It comes off the pins. It sticks, the connector here sticks so hard in the socket that it just pulls the housing right off the pins. And that's the kind of stuff where it's like, I'm in a hurry right now. I'm trying to make a video. I do not have time for this crap. And it's constant. It's constant. Like, what? I don't know. It's funny. I was talking about how people talk about how game streamers have an easy job. People think I have an easy job too. And like I said, I love my job. But it is, and I broke it. Broke the housing. Well, I do love my job, but it is not necessarily as easy as a lot of people think that it is. So now I'll just put the broken housing back on there. I mean, whatever. It's not like I'm, which one is it? This one. It's not like I have any warranty coverage on this board anyway. Here we go. USB 3 is actually surprisingly hard to line up when you're doing this. USB 2 is really easy, but the pins are so small for USB 3, and if you line it up wrong, you'll end up crushing one of the pins and folding it flat onto the board, which is a big problem. because then you have to bend it back and get it just perfect. USB 2 is easy. Like, I mean, these things come off all the time. It's not a huge deal or anything. It's just annoying when you're in a hurry and you have to like yank and replace a stupid header housing every time you need to do something. It's ridiculous. Wow, 4,300 viewers on taking apart a computer. You guys always impress me. Like I never know. This is a funny thing too. Like I don't consume a lot of online video, mostly because I just really don't have time. I'm too busy making it. So a lot of the time I'm just kind of taking a shot in the dark at what I think people might like because I'm not really making something designed for myself. Like I think it's really easy for me to do something like the LTT edition knock to a fan. Like to come up with an idea like including a fan hub sticker inside the box. And like no one does that. And to me, as an enthusiast, it's really easy to come up with an idea like that because I think, well, man, you know, there's only one way to install a fan out of 4 where the rear hub sticker is correctly aligned with, you know, gravity. So you can read whatever's on it or whatever else. So why don't we just include a sticker and people can orient it whatever way they want? It's like, wow. So it's easy for me to think of something like that because I am the target audience. But actually making videos, I love technology. I mean, I nerd out over this stuff. I really, really do. But when it comes to, you know, what formats people want to experience technology with me in, it's really not always that straightforward for me. And I'm just kind of guessing. And I got these wicked sniffles. I really hope that I feel better very soon because this sucks. It super duper sucks, the big one. I feel like I've been sick for months. I actually wasn't sick at CES for the first time ever, but I was sick before it, and I am now sick after it. I'm very thankful, though, that I wasn't sick at CES. Getting sick at CES is such a bummer. But I have kids now, so I think that's a big part of the problem is they go to, like, preschool or whatever, and then they come home with all the germs that their little germ friends gave them, and I'm the one who gets to be sick. I mean, they get sick too, I guess. And then I get to deal with that. So I'm sick. I'm dealing with a sick, whiny kid, and I'm sick. Being an adult sucks. If anyone had told me that, you know, being an adult was like this, I might not have bothered waiting around for it. Okay. Actually, I know. Again, I love my life. My life is good. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I hate being sick, and I think we can all relate to that. So this is most of the action right here. Some people probably saw like Instagram posts or whatever else, but I didn't really talk much about this motherboard and what made it special. So this is a good opportunity to do it. So 2 sockets was requirement number 1. I needed 2 sockets. I also needed a motherboard that had 7 PCI Express slots. There are lots out there that have 6. Okay? And 6 is relatively easy because especially if you're doing 2 sockets like this, you want to do more DIMM slots. A lot of motherboard manufacturers will put a bunch of DIMM slots up here and a bunch down here, and you end up eating 1 or even 2 of these slots with all of these PCI Express slots with all the memory DIMM slots that you're putting on the board. And even putting more to these sides here, you end up with kind of like a wider board sometimes, or you end up with like an offset here of the memory that ends up eating up one of these slots. So finding one with 7 PCI Express slots, real challenge. This one also had a couple other things that made it very desirable. So number 1 is that it has an iKVM header. So I've actually already purchased a module, and I would go get it, but it'd be kind of a waste of time. You guys are live here. So I purchased a little module that I can put on here that will allow me to control this board remotely over the network, even if it's powered off. I'm going to do a video about IPMI a little bit in the future here, because it's pretty cool stuff. It's only really applicable to very high-end stuff, but I personally think it's neat, so I'm going to make a video about it, deal with it. And then the other thing that it has that is way more important than people probably thought is this. It has onboard video. So the onboard video is actually closely related to that remote management feature, because that onboard video is what the remote management feature uses and is able to output to even when the system is powered down. So this VGA port, the onboard video on this motherboard, is what allowed me to have Unraid grab that and allowed me to use all 7 of my plugged-in graphics cards for 7 discrete VMs. The other really cool thing that we got going on here, I mean, aside from, CPUs, 14, oh yeah, right, no, more about the motherboard first, actually. So it also has multiple USB 3 controllers. So what I plan to deploy this board to do in the future is 2 ingest stations, so people can ingest their footage at the same time. Whereas right now, the single system we have is a bit of a bottleneck. So I'm planning to use it for that. So having 2 different onboard USB 3 controllers is good, because I can pass through controllers to a VM, which allows us to have hot plug within a virtual machine. So each of our machines will effectively be using, like if you slice the motherboard down the middle, it will be using 128 gigs of RAM. Actually, I'll probably swap out this RAM for something lower capacity, but it'll be using half of the RAM, half the CPU, and then half of the USB controllers. Each one will get a GPU and then some other hardware. And then the other thing it had, again, like there's still more. There's a lot that makes this board pretty much the only thing I could have used. It has 12 SATA ports, so that gave me 8 for my SSDs, and I had planned to have 4 8-terabyte hard drives for mass storage for the VMs, but that didn't end up working out because the case didn't have anywhere to mount them because they screwed up the adapter they sent me. Then it has this. This is an auxiliary power connector for the graphics card slots. And this became a big issue back in the days when 3-way and 4-way SLI first started popping up. Is you would actually have people, because these cards were so power hungry, you would have people burning out the slots on their motherboards. On motherboards that didn't have these auxiliary power connectors, because, I mean, if you think about it, like, it's not magic. Each of these, I think, is rated for 75 watts. And then you've got the connectors that plug into the backs of the cards as well. But that doesn't mean that they're not drawing from the slot. So all of a sudden, 300, 450, I mean, we're talking 500 watts going through what, these tiny little traces here? That's ridiculous. So the auxiliary power helps augment what's coming from the 24 pin, which is way up here, all the way across the board, by feeding these a little bit more. So that helps out the ones that are plugged into the back of the card. So I was hopeful that having a board that had that feature would help. And then finally, I think there was one other thing that mattered. I mean, it looks cool, so there's that. No, I actually, oh yeah, okay, so it did have support for the, these are 32 gigabyte memory sticks here from Kingston. So it had support from those, and Kingston was a sponsor for the project. The system was on display in their booth at CES and all that. So being compatible with their latest and greatest memory was really, really key on this. And I think, yeah, that's pretty much about it. So I can't wait to roll this baby out, because other than, the flakiness with the cards I was using, pretty much all of which I can explain away due to the cards I was using, which I used because they were very power efficient, because they were very short. I was really worried about clearance issues with like stuff over here if we had full-length cards. I'm pretty sure most of the issues I had with the machine can be explained away by the cards. Man, that was frustrating though. I mean, people often ask me why I use the hardware that I use for a given project. And I pretty much use whatever I'm pretty sure is going to work best. And even in those cases, I end up with some issues. But yeah, I'm not a fan of anything except stuff that works. So why do we use the things that we use? Generally speaking, for some compelling reason, like it's the only product that is in the form factor that we need it to be in order for this project to be a go. Like a perfect example would be that ASRock Mini ITX LGA 2011 board that we did our 18-core shoebox machine in. Well, they've got the only ITX 2011 3 motherboard, so what else am I going to use? Or it's the thing that I am most confident will actually function, which is surprisingly hard. I mean, when we encounter a lot of issues that most people never would, because we're pushing this stuff to limits that it was never really intended to be pushed to. Like, I guarantee you, no one at AMD, I guarantee it 100%, no one at AMD has ever put 7 Fijis in a single motherboard. And I also guarantee you that no one at ASUS ever put, oh, hold on, this is going to be bad. No one ever put 7 high-powered graphics cards in that motherboard. How do I know they didn't do this? Because that's not how validation labs work. They don't do some like completely like ass crazy thing. They do what they expect most people to run, which is why most people will never encounter the kinds of problems that we do. So it's frustrating because people will get upset with us about, oh, I have one of these and it's great. Why aren't you using it? Well, because maybe we've had issues with it that you've never seen before, and we just tend to go with whatever we think has the best chance of working in some kind of like bizarro land scenario, like, oh, I don't know, putting 7 graphics cards in a single machine. Yes, I am planning to upload this stream to YouTube and to Vessel. That is a plan. I think last time I did a simultaneous release, but this time I am not, because last time was sort of like a weird experiment thing. Like I wanted to do a video of building the machine because LG needed a video of the machine, but the winner was supposed to do it, but I still had all his hardware, so I was like, look, I'll just do a video. And I came up with this idea, okay, I'll live stream it because we don't have any editing resources right now. And then people liked it, so I was like, okay, sure. I mean, what do I know anyway? I love these cables. These are awesome. Super big fan of these cable mod cables we've been using for our projects here. Actually, a friend of mine is one of the founders of Cable Mod. They're cool guys. They're just like, yeah, like whatever projects you guys do, we want to sponsor it. We want to be involved. Product's good. Love it. It's always good. I love that win-win stuff, where it's like good product, good people, easy companies to deal with, man. Where they take your feedback, like if there's something that I don't like, they don't get all, defensive about it. They're just like, yeah, okay, that's cool, thank you. We'll fix it. I got someone saying, Linus bro, missed you. How can you miss me? I'm like all over the internet. $400 power supply on the corner of the table. Ah, it's stable, look. See, that's not going anywhere, come on, man. All right, this was a fun part of the machine here. This was some jank stuff that we had going on here. So I didn't get the cages that I needed to mount the SSDs. So these are straight up double-sided taped. Oh, wow. I used the same, so we actually bought this huge, like massive roll of the same double-sided tape that GoPro includes on their mounts. And then I used I don't know if you can see them in there. See, I used massive strips of them, which was definitely a mistake. But I had thought at the time that we were going to be shipping this system down to CES. So I wanted them in there really good. The last thing I want is to send a machine to Kingston to showcase in their booth that has the Kingston SSDs all banged up and all over the inside of the, oh wow. How the crap am I going to get these off? This might do it. Wedge tactics. Wow. Okay. We'll just stab them real good in there. I may have to cut them. Yeah, that might work. Although I can tell you that did not work on the Intel 750 series SSD that I did my personal rig with. Nope, that was not a good strategy. You know what, I'm gonna have to go find a knife here real quick, but I can tell you guys what happened to that SSD in the meantime. Well, it died. So actually, this is kind of funny. Normally a sample product like that would have no warranty because it would be an engineering sample with no serial number and stuff like that. But long story, but I had a retail 750 series SSD. So I contacted Intel's warranty department. I'm like, yo, so I broke this. Is there anything you can do for me? And they were like, no, you're an idiot, basically. Wait, did you inventory this?
Yeah.
This is a drive.
Yeah.
The sticker goes on the drive and the packaging gets thrown away. Don't worry about it. You're still learning. Sorry, that's our new guy. He's learning how to inventory things. I will tell you his name once he gets past his probation. We've learned a valuable lesson about introducing people on the channel before they actually officially make it. Like we had one guy, we had the last guy who was in his position, lasted for 2 shifts. He was just like, yeah, you know, this isn't really the kind of work that I had in mind. And I was just like, well, this is exactly what I told you you'd be doing, so I really don't understand where that expectation came from, but that's okay. You know, no hard feelings or anything like that, but just this puts us in a bit of a bind now. I tell you guys, human resources management is not fun. It's like actually super balls lame. And you know what else is not fun? I cannot find my knife. I'm very sure that I lent it to someone today, which means that I am equally sure that they didn't bring it back to me. And this is why I get irate about this stuff. It's not because I like to be a terrible person who's like, you know, mean or whatever. It's just one of those things where if people don't return stuff to me, then I end up wasting the time of literally thousands of people while I run around and look for a knife in the warehouse. Brendan, did you borrow my knife? Did you? Yeah. Okay, maybe I just misplaced it somewhere then. I hope I did, because I super duper like that knife. It's super dull now. I actually found some scissors, and I'm kind of hoping this will be the solution. Here we go, I'm back. Oh, it was in the room the whole time. There I was blaming Brandon for it. And it turns out it was me. I have scissors now too, just in case I need those. All right, so let's try slicing these apart here. So right, so this did not work for the SSD, but in the case of the SSD, I was like slicing thermal adhesive off of chips. So I think what probably happened was, wow, these are on there good. Like that, I just kind of flexed too much and like disconnected something from the board. Like it kind of works a little, like Windows will pick it up as an NVMe device, but it can't, you know, write anything to it. The BIOS actually doesn't see it, even though Windows kind of does. Like it's super weird and it's dead. And Intel's just like, yeah, you broke it, dude. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I told you I broke it. And they're like, well, okay, why did you call then? It's like, I don't know. Maybe my internet fame is worth something. Turns out internet fame is actually not worth much, but for the first time ever, I was hanging out with Tech Racks, who busts up iPhones on YouTube, and What's Inside, who opens things up on YouTube, but doesn't unbox, like slices things open. And we were at the International Auto Show, and we tried to go to a restaurant. Like we were legit just trying to go out for dinner, and they wouldn't let us in because of a private booking. So we're standing there trying to figure out where else to go, and someone comes out, and she's like, and she just kind of walks up and starts talking to us. We were just saying, oh yeah, sorry, we didn't know it's a private event, so we're going somewhere else. She's like, oh, well, who are you here with? Are you here for the auto show? We're like, oh yeah, we're here for the auto show. She's like, who are you with? We're like, oh, well, you know, I make YouTube videos. And she's like, are you influencers? We're like, I don't know, I guess so. And she's like, how many followers do you have? I'm like, oh, well, between the 3 of us, like something to the tune of 5 million subscribers on YouTube. She's like, no way. And we're like, yeah. She's like, okay, come on in. So we got a free meal. That was the first time, due to my internet fame, that I have ever gotten like just randomly invited into a private event and gotten a free dinner. It was awesome. It was very good. I forget the name of the place. I'm not really good at that kind of stuff. But it was a Kia party. So we're going inside, and What's Inside is like, hey, yo. And I realized I had a Ford badge on my hip, because I was actually there, sponsored by Ford. I mean, it's not like it matters. Like, we were just going out for dinner. It's not like I was like, oh, I'm going to go have secret meetings with Kia or whatever while Ford is sponsoring me to be here at the show. And you guys probably saw those sponsored posts, mostly on like Twitter and Instagram. But just like walking around at the Kia party with a Ford badge on, which probably seems like not the greatest thing ever. Yeah. People are like, don't use the knife towards you. No, it only matters if you use the knife towards you if there's somewhere for it to slip towards you. I am pushing down on the knife. It is okay, don't worry. I have never actually managed to stab myself. I cannot believe how difficult these are to remove. I have no idea how long this is going to take. I have removed one drive. One drive. I have to take 8 off. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with stories to tell to occupy the time it will take to remove 8 of these drives. Stab! Go! Oh my goodness. This is horrible. Okay. Oh, I got a better slicing action going now here. Okay, so I was pulling towards myself there, but don't worry, you guys. I got someone suggesting to heat the knife. Not a terrible idea, but not actually sure if it would be applicable to this particular type of adhesive. Slicey, slicey. Man, this stuff is savage. Holy crap. Like, this is not easy to remove, and look how much of it I put on. Why did I do that? I could have put like a little tiny tab in each corner, and it would have been fine. I'm bending the drives. I don't know if you can see that, but the drive is bent. These better still work. I still need these. These are 1 terabyte KC400s. Jeez. Ow. Okay, I've never stabbed myself, but I have definitely like whacked myself, if you know what I mean.
I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Kingston. Thank you for powering the 7 Gamers PC build.
Nick.
Kingston, thank you.
Get out of here. It's not enough that I'm stabbing their SSDs. You got to give them shout outs too. There we go. Okay. I got a better technique here now, I think.
Yeah, is that an endorsement? You can stab Kingston SSDs and still work?
No, I am not going to say you can stab Kingston SSDs and they will still work. It is highly likely that they will not still work if you stab them. These guys. This is what I got to deal with. Okay. It's not that easy to pull all the... So I had actually wired up all the SATA cables before taping them into place. So having to remove them before I pull the drives out is a little bit trickier. Oh man, you hear that sound? Like, these are not happy drives. And like, this stuff is really hard to remove. It's like gooey. Okay. Half of the drives are out. Yes. Got people saying the case is tough. It'll bounce back. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna bounce back, but I can probably bend it back. Here's something a lot of people probably don't know unless you've read a lot of SSD reviews online, is that the stuff inside an SSD, there's actually not a whole lot of it. So even if you were to bend the outer casing a fair bit, the odds of that damaging any of the internal guts is pretty slim. It can bend a fair bit before the internal PCB, which does have to stay pretty much straight, would be bent out of whack. Slice, slice, slice. Slice, slice, baby. Okay. Prying. Oh my goodness. Look at this one. And this stuff is so like... Oh, it pulled the label off. Dang it, I was doing so well. All of them had kept their labels up till now. Oh, hey, the label is back in action. Nice. This one I scratched the bottom of the... That's okay. All good. Got someone saying this is why they use Velcro. I've actually been using that industrial strength Velcro that I get at Home Depot for a long time. I've had some issues with the adhesive on it. It eventually turns kind of gooey and sticky. Well, okay, it's supposed to be sticky, it's adhesive, but it turns kind of like soft and like, how would I describe it? It's kind of like kind of more like sap than an actual tape. And it seems to not really work very well over long periods of time. So I've actually stopped using it. I did my cable manage. The last thing I did with it was my cable manage your desk the manly way video. And everything that I mounted with it has fallen off in that time. Just from, I guess being a relatively hot place or whatever else. Like, it's not even that hot. Like, it's a climate controlled office, but there is some sunlight that comes into it. So I'm just kind of guessing at this point. But I've also had some issues with it with UV lighting, like UV case lighting. That makes the adhesive turn really, really hard as well. Whew. This stuff's great. Like, if the idea is to stick something to something forever, this stuff's really good. I wish they had this adhesive on the other side of the Velcro. That would be perfect. All right, I'll take those apart later. I'm just going to pull this last set of drives out of here. Whoops. See? My knife form might not be perfect, but it slipped and nothing was damaged or hurt. Why are people telling Nick to steal a power supply? And why is Nick watching a Twitch stream instead of working? These are both great questions. Laughs. This guy. Trying to moderate the chat. Well, I can tell you why that's not working. Because it's futile. I wouldn't worry about it. That's weird. My stream just cut out, but no one else seems to be complaining, so there you go. Okay. The drives are out. Love it. Love it. Now I can deploy these somewhere else, which is what I have been wanting to do with them for quite some time. Got people asking for more stories. I'm just trying to think if I have any more stories right now. What have we been up to lately? Oh, here's kind of a good one. We were trying to film an episode of Holy Bleep the other day, and I got these really cool dish-based internet doodads from Ubiquiti. So they're these point-to-point, like huge dish things that allow you to send a network connection anywhere from, depending on the SKU on, whoops, dropped my knife. Anywhere, depending on the SKU on their website, anywhere from I think 20 kilometers to up to 200 plus kilometers. And I had a bunch of pieces of stuff that they sent me, and so I grabbed them all, and we started filming the video, and I realized halfway through the video that I had two different products. So one of them was a 200 plus kilometer product that you needed a separate antenna for that they didn't send. So I knew nothing about any of that. And then the other one, so I didn't even have all the pieces of that one, and that was the one I started with. And then the other one was a complete kit, like completely standalone kit by itself. It was like $150. Like, it was actually relatively affordable, whereas the other one was like enterprise grade, like super expensive stuff. So we actually filmed half a video of me explaining what we were going to make the video about, and it turned out that it was completely the wrong product. Completely the wrong product. So what we ended up doing was we changed gears, and we kind of went, okay, so let's redo the footage here, and we will, so we'll just redo the intro, and we'll just start with this one, the one that we actually have all the pieces for. So we filmed most of it, and then it got to be the end of the day. I had to go home, I had to go home, and we weren't quite done yet. So I was like, okay, so here's what I'll do. We'll come in tomorrow morning, and we'll finish it off. So after all that, after refilming it twice, or filming it twice, filming it once and then refilming it, get this, SD card died. This is the kind of stuff that you guys never get to see. Like, everyone's always like, oh, it's so easy to make videos. You just stand in front of a camera and talk for a bit. You know what? Actually not. And okay, admittedly, that first problem could have been prevented by me actually looking at what it was we were making a video about beforehand. So, okay, fine. But I like the Holy Bleep episodes to be very genuine. Like, I want it to be the initial reaction. So I want it to be like, okay, here it is. Let's rip it out of the box and have a long-range, network connection or whatever. But the one where the SD card died, like, there's nothing we can do about that. And like, we'll set out at the beginning of the week with all these goals. SSDs all successfully removed, by the way. All these videos we want to make, and then we just get these obnoxious curveballs thrown at us, right? Like something dying in the middle of the week. A USB header popping off of a motherboard while you're trying to just trying to work on it. So yeah. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where for like personal gear, like when I was building up my wife's machine, am I putting, an ROG board in there, an NVMe SSD, 10 gig network card? Nah, man. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I went with ASUS's, they call it their channel series, internally anyway. Excuse me. But I went with their premium channel series board, Z170 Deluxe. Simple, consumer grade, not like, gaming or whatever. Went with just a 6600, GTX 6600, keeping it really simple. Went with just some Corsair memory, like super basic memory, not high speed. We're talking like DDR3, 2133 or something like that, like very, very base model, because that's the stuff that works. And there's a reason for that. It actually makes sense if you understand the product development process a little bit. So when you build a product, you can invest X amount of R&D into it that has to be somehow proportional to the reward that you're going to get from it. And like a $500 motherboard, yeah, you're selling a motherboard for $500, but the reality of it is that you're not going to sell that many of them, because who buys $500 motherboards? Come on, you got to be kidding me here, right? So the board that's going to sell the most is actually going to be the one that returns the most for the investment in it, and the board that sells the most is going to be the one with the most other people using it. So if the whole thing with products in the last, well, really forever, has been that the end user ends up being kind of a beta tester, then what I tend to do these days, if I want something that's going to work, is I'll go with the most mainstream possible thing. Because that way, a bunch of other people already bought it and can already complain about it if it's not working properly. And if there is a huge issue with it, the odds of the manufacturer having to fix it in order to do damage control is much higher, because many, many more of their customers have it. So the way I select products for our crazy projects and the way that I select products for my own use are actually very, very different. So there you go. There's a little pro tip for you guys. There we go. So the case is put back together. It's actually really like crazy light. Like, I don't know if you guys know this. Case Mods cases, aluminum, really light. It's only once you put like, 80 pounds worth of, copper into it in the form of water blocks that they end up getting extraordinarily heavy. I just got a little bit more left to do. I was thinking about live streaming the entire teardown of the multi-block video card thing, but I think that will take too long. And like, I know some of you are going to be like, no, Linus, come on, do it. No, really. It will actually take too long. Like, I spent probably about 4 hours mounting them all. So you're not sneaky. Hey, get out of here. Get out of here, Nick. Giving into Twitch chat and their wicked suggestions. This guy. Doesn't even need a 1600 watt power supply. I know, because his computer sucks. Yeah, that's right. I just talked trash about your computer.
My computer?
Yeah.
I mean,
Take that, jerk.
I have a 3570K. I don't need anywhere near 1600 watts.
He's saying he has an Athlon 64X2. What a loser.
Wow, Intel fanboy.
Yeah, I think the X2, any criticism of that would not have anything to do with fanboyism. It would be more to do with how old it is and slow. Yeah, get wrecked, son. Okay, so last thing here, just gonna pull this bracket. This is a really cool mounting bracket too, actually. EK was another huge helper on this project. Would have been hard to do without them and Case Labs kind of helping me out on the water cooling, because when I have a case already and I've sort of seen all the water cooling hardware already, it's pretty easy for me to be like, okay, yeah, here's all the stuff I need. But I've been kind of out of the loop, so to speak, for water cooling for a while. Like, we don't really review this stuff anymore, so I only really bring it in for projects. So like, I know how to water cool, but I don't really keep up on it the way that I used to. So both of them helped me out, you know, figuring out, hey, where are we going to put the res? Where are we going to put the pump? How are we going to mount the res? And this mount, this like 120 millimeter like bracket mount that you can turn into the anti-vibration rubber mount for that reservoir pump combo, freaking awesome. Love it. And you can actually get a version of the res pump combo that has a shorter res, if I recall correctly. So you are not married to having something so tall, so depending on your case, you may actually even be able to mount it at the back of the case on your exhaust fan. Don't quote me on that one, though. I'm not 100% sure if that'll work out great for you. My laptop battery is about to die. It's at 7%. I'm gonna see if I can save it. Oh, I was so frustrated the other night because my phone was like, oh, battery about to die, 2% battery or whatever. And then, you know how you do the whole thing where you're like, I can beat it. I can do this. And so I like ran to plug it in and I got it. Like, I actually made it. It was at like 1%. I'm like, yeah, I made it, yeah. And then while I was sitting there checking the battery level with the screen powered on, it was only plugged into a 1 amp charger, so it died. I was that down to the wire that just the fact that it was charging but not charging enough was enough to take it out. So disappointing, because then you gotta wait like 5 minutes or whatever for it to charge up a bit. Like, I don't really like charging my phones at 2 amps because I like my batteries lasting for longer. So I only really do that when I'm desperate. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed right there. Cool story, bro. Thanks, bro. This is frustrating. Case manufacturers. If I ever make that video that I had talked about last week of like manufacturer do's and don'ts, do use screws with iron in them, because don't use ones that are just made of like, there's a test bench that I was using a little while ago from Dimistech. Anyway, all the screws included are aluminum, which is terrible because A, if you have a magnetic screwdriver, that doesn't help you out a whole lot because the screw won't stick to the bit. And B, aluminum is a super malleable metal. Like anytime, oh, okay, this time it's the battery. Don't worry, we got this. So anytime like a thread doesn't go in perfectly or whatever, it just derps out hardcore and actually shears off. So you end up with remnants of screw in the hole, and then you end up with no head to actually take it out. So you have to drill it out. It's ridiculous. So do not use aluminum screws, and do use screws with iron in them so that I can use my magnetic screwdriver, because a magnetic screwdriver makes projects go a lot faster. If you work on as many of these types of projects as I do, you care about every like fraction of a second that you can save while you work on them. Wow, we're up to nearly 5,000 viewers. Man, you guys, if I had known you like these kinds of streams so much, I could stream like pretty much all the time when I'm working on this kind of crap. Because I'm pretty much always doing this. Like if I'm not filming, actively filming a video, I'm probably working on something like this, whether it's our servers here at the office or whether it's like an upcoming video or tearing down an old one or whatever else the case may be. All right, let's, where'd that front panel piece go? Can't remember how this mounts anymore, unfortunately. I think it goes in here and then sits on like some spikes or something, and then, yeah, here we'll switch to the overhead view. The unfortunate thing about this stream is that I had to tear down the WAN streaming computer in order to do it. So you might think that that will mean that WAN show will be on time, but because I've got the stream machine working, but having it working with one configuration doesn't necessarily mean it will work with some other configuration. So I actually have even less hope than usual. And we are still doing WAN show today. I've actually seen a couple people asking about that in the chat. Yes, that is definitely still the plan. I mean, when do we ever miss WAN show? It's amazing how many people still ask us that, actually. It's like, hey, are you guys doing WAN show today? When was the last time we missed a WAN show, suckers? That's what I thought. We almost never miss WAN show. Even if we're like in another country, we don't miss WAN show. One does not simply miss WAN show. Like either Luke or I may miss WAN show, but I don't think we have ever both been absent for it since the show started. But you guys may have to correct me on that one. It's possible we missed one. My memory is a little fuzzy because I'm old. All right. And I just knocked it back in. You gotta be freaking kidding me. Just popped it in, and I popped it back out. That's okay though, I got this. Just get in there. Just don't. Just don't. Thank you. All right. Get out of the way, cable. Dang it. Now there's a cable stuck. There, now it's done. All right, now I can box that baby back up. All done. All right, well, you know what? We've got a little bit of time left, so why don't we do this? Oh, why don't I at least show you guys, I think we'll mostly use the overhead view for this. Why don't I at least show you guys how the 7-block joiner thing here actually works. Where'd my screwdriver go? Dagnabbit. Knowing me, it's probably like inside the computer or something. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sorry, just checking emails. I know it's rude, but the reality of it is I get a lot of emails. And if I don't reply to those, then that will be rude too. So I'll just be rude to everyone, universally. That's the only solution that I can come up with. Where is my screwdriver? I definitely need it. I need the hex head screwdriver, and I cannot find it. I know this is definitely my fault. And it is definitely not in the case. Okay. Is it definitely in my pocket? Sometimes that happens. All right, time to empty the pockets. Phone. Ah, there it is. Good. Well, that solved that problem. All right, so basically the way it works is you install all the blocks individually on the cards, then you take this piece on the top here and install the cards onto it one by one. So I'm actually going to have to remove pretty much the whole shebang here in order to show you guys how one of them mounts, but, or maybe not. Maybe I can just pull one off here. Actually, yes, that makes more sense. Okay. And I'll get you guys a bit of a closer look with the webcam when I get a minute here. Okay, here we go. So right here, I've got these long bolts. These guys right here that go through here. Then I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to put down this camera for a second while I flip it over, just because I don't want to break anything here, ideally. Okay, so this one should detach. Yep, there we go. So then, EK's blocks. What just fell? Dang it. And we dropped something. Fantastic. I don't know what it was even. Oh, that is very, very unfortunate. If I knew what it was, I would at least know what I was looking. Oh, there it is. What is that? Nope, that's not it. Yes, it is. What is this screw? Wow, I super duper don't know. Oh, here. Wow, weird. One of the screws in this block just like came out. This one. Wow. Okay. Anyway, so this is a really cool thing that EK does, is the tops of their blocks are kind of, oh, go away, go away. Okay. The tops of their blocks are kind of modular now, so you can see they've got these slits here where the water flows, so 2 slits per side, and then you can either have ones that kind of come off like this, or using those bolts I showed you before, they can go straight into a big splitter like this. See? So you've got, oh, you can't see that very well. Hold on. There we go. So there, you've got O-rings in here, as long as you get those sealed exactly perfectly. And then the whole thing goes in this one, and then out this one, and then into the next card here, and then out the next card right around here, and so on and so forth. Very, very cool stuff. And yes, there is a lot of water on the table. I am aware of that, thank you. Yes, I do see that as something of a problem, but I'm not going to stress about it now. No, my friends, I'm not going to stress about it now. I am going to remove these one by one, yes. All of this stuff is like not bad in small doses, but oops. That's funny. Not bad in small doses, but by the time you do like, 7 cards times 3 bolts, what is that, 21 bolts, it gets kind of tedious. All right, let's remember that they come off now, moving forward. That would be good. Okay. Everyone's like, rip, come on. This stuff's not that fragile. I hope you guys know that. Like, it is, but it's also not. Like, look at any secondhand shop. Look at the way they treat hardware. That hardware still works. Just throwing that out there. Like, no, it's not ideal. Yes, some of it will get broken, but literally, like, bins of graphics cards can still work. And they just get kind of thrown in a bin. And that fell onto the block, not onto the PCB even. So the chances of knocking off a surface mount component or something like that is pretty much 0. Fortunately, I don't need these cards for any other projects anyway, so I am pretty much done with them. But that doesn't mean that I like killing things if I don't have to. I actually kill surprisingly little hardware. Although I've had a bit of a rough run of it lately with with that 750 SSD. Man, I did not want to kill that $800 or $12,000 SSD or whatever. And all those motherboards for that router machine, I was super not happy about that either. Okay. I have a really fun one coming that involves taking an angle grinder to a GTX Titan. So for those of you who are on Vessel, you've already seen it, but for those of you on YouTube, you have that to look forward to. Should be good. I do not like killing servers. I haven't killed any servers. What you talking about? Speaking of servers, oh, I am so stoked on this. That Supermicro machine that I tweeted about, last week, I think it was, has arrived. So it's an 8 GPU server machine. I am super stoked. I think you guys probably already know where I'm going with anything that can take a bunch of GPUs. But this is going to be a bit of a different angle on how many people I can have gaming off of a machine all at once. Very, very cool. Got people asking me to move the power supply. You know, the more you ask me, the less likely I am to do it. So there's pretty much nothing you can do. You are powerless. Powerless to save the power supply. Okay. Wow, there we go. 7 graphics cards, all removed. Here, let's take another look at that bad boy. So that's it. All the screws are out. There they are. And you can see what EK did here. So there's actually a lot of inlets and outlets, depending on the mounting options that you want for it. This thing's really cool. Like, I'm gonna hold on to this. I don't know when I would ever use something like this again, but that is definitely like one of a kind, unique item. Hold on to that just in case. Just in case you ever happen to have to water cool 7 cards in a single system again. The kind of disappointing thing is that EK's system for connecting the multiple cards on the bottom, there's no plugs for them. So you actually have to do 7 cards. That was a pretty horrifying moment when it looked like we weren't going to get the system posted with 7 cards. And John from Lime Tech was like, oh, no, it's no big deal. We'll just, because I had actually told Kingston, I told the sponsor, it'll be like 6 or 7. And so John's like, well, don't worry. You told Kingston it could be 6. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yes, but we have a problem. I can't take out a card. I can't do 6. It'll have to be 4 with air cooling, which I definitely didn't want to do. That's like admitting defeat. Or it'll be 7. And, well, you know how that story ends? We did end up getting it working, but it was extremely stressful. It's like, man, how bad I looked in that video. Like how defeated and tired I looked. That was exactly how I felt. It was brutal. Ah, ouch. That is not going to be... Oh yeah, actually, here, there's another cool pro tip for you guys. If you're having trouble getting a fitting out, and it's one that doesn't have a spot to use a wrench on, just grab a piece of tubing, and then use that for grip. See? Easy. Now you can't say I never taught you anything. Unless you already knew that, in which case you can say that, but then why are you watching this show? Oh, this one's not coming. It doesn't help when your tubing's wet, though. That's a bit of a problem. We'll try the old pants trick. Nope, no dice. All right. Let's try another piece of tubing. Maybe like different tubing will cooperate more with me. Ah, yes. There we go. Awesome. No, my power supply is not depressed. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess I don't know how much else there is to really say about this. If you guys enjoyed this this stream, then hey, you know, like, I guess. Do they have that on Twitch? Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can definitely Aw, that's so nice. Our contact at Kingston just sent me a message saying that he's depressed that the system will not live on forever. I'm sorry to be the one to have to break it to him that unless he wants to provide us with completely new sets of all the hardware for every machine we do, then that really isn't possible. Except we do really ask him for that, so I've probably given away too much at this point. And 2, he said that the stream is being really well run. That's the first time I've ever heard that from anyone about a stream. Luke's nodding. Thanks for that. So I guess that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you disliked the video, hit dislike. If you liked it, hit the like button, get subscribed, and even consider supporting us by changing your Amazon affiliate to one with our bookmarked, one with our affiliate code, which if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put a little thing up there, but this is live on Twitch. It's not working right now, obviously. Don't worry too much about that. You can buy a cool shirt like this one at the link in the video description, also YouTube exclusive. That one's on Vessel as well. Or you can join our community forum where you can exchange ideas and thoughts with other members of the Linus Tech Tips community, and you can even become a contributor over there, get a cool little contributor badge next to your name. That's pretty much it. If you're looking for something else to watch next, because this was so fun and engaging, maybe check out the last similar format video that I did where I built up a machine for the winner of the LG Ultrawide Festival, and I'll have that linked up there on YouTube only. It is what it is. Oh, I have to stop the stream. Luke! Mouse. I'm just gonna stand here and wave and look sexy until